Hello everybody, welcome to my review of Dr. Finkelstein's lab from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay, so first off here, just giving like a little wide of the model. It was really important to me to try to get that cone shape. And I was doing all kinds of crazy things with like a lot of angled plates and everything, kind of like what it looks like on the top. Then I went and I started looking at what the official set did for like Jack's house, and they had a lot of these like slanting pieces, and I was like, oh, what if I just do that? So I started putting the slanting pieces, and then I just put in some of the like headlight-ish bricks. They're not really the headlight ones, but like the snot bricks. To kind of put these like 1x2 tiles on to give it some texture. I think in the actual movie, rather than like pumpkins on top of these pillars, is like little light bulbs, because he's like a scientist. I decided to give it pumpkins because I thought it added a lot of fun color to the model, which of course it is very much gray, but I wanted to add as much Halloween colors as I could, a lot like the official set, because my big mission for this is to create a bunch of expansions that could sit well right next to the set. I want to look at the minifigs that come with it. I did make some custom pieces in the parts designer app, which this is literally just like a combination of a minifig head, and then I put in one of those they're kind of like studs, like the 1x1 flat round like tiles, but it's like only round on one side and then it's flat on the other side. I don't know necessarily what to call that, but I guess it's kind of like a bill piece, like a duck bill, which is cool because then I used it to like create Dr. Finkelstein's duck bill. And there are, I guess technically you would want Sally to be in this if it was actually a set, but since Sally came in the official set, I was like, nah, I don't have to make her for my custom model. So I wanted to focus on Dr. Finkelstein, obviously, his little henchman, which is Igor, the hunchback guy, and then I also wanted to make Jewel, I'm pretty sure is her name, the love interest that he makes at the end of the film, right? And she's like the one pushing him around in the wheelchair while it's snowing at the very end. So how I went about making these is Dr. Finkelstein, they just have I literally just put the glasses and mouth from on Parts Designer, and I think this is actually from an official image of Dr. Finkelstein, so it's literally this is what it looks like. And then this torso piece is a decal that I made. Lego made a mad scientist piece, but it had a stethoscope hanging from it, so I just painted out the stethoscope and then put the decal on him. And then he's got dual molded arms to give him his gloves. And then his feet aren't actually feet, they're I'll show, it's headlight pieces right here, and then I just put little 1x1 bricks. Then Igor is brick built. I'm pretty happy with how he looks. He's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing ever, but as far as matching to the film, I'll put up an image from the film of what he looks like. I think it's a pretty okay job. So I just used one of these 1x2 bricks that has the little Technic hole in it, and that way I could just fit one of these I don't even know what to call them. It kind of looks like a tennis racket where it's got a stud with a bar coming out of it, and then I just put the head on top of it. And then I have these little robot arm pieces, I guess is what they are, to make his arms, and then yeah, the rest of it I got these little cheese slopes on the top to give him his hunchback. And then there's Joel, which pretty straightforward. I also gave her dual molded arms, a lot like Finkelstein, because she also has gloves. They actually all have gloves. And then I just gave her one of these sloped pieces for her dress. Just a classic plain mint green torso. This color is sand green. It's technically sand green. And then I gave her one of those I don't know if it was used as a bird's nest first, or if it was used as a little fluffy scarf thing first, and then they later used it as a nest, but that's the piece I used in white. And then she literally has the exact same head, and then I just gave her blonde updo hair pieces, which in the film she has a hat, but like, I didn't have the piece to give her a hat. I guess if ideally I was a Lego designer, I would make it like a dual molded hat hair combo, but you know, I'm not that skilled. Moving on from the minifigs, I'm gonna give like a more detailed look of the outside. I really like how in the official set they gave the buildings kind of touches of color, which is what I kind of wanted to do. And here, literally what I mean by a touch of color is like I put like these little purple bits in the walkway leading up, which I think kind of gives it that fun dark midnight vibe. Like it's kind of blue and purple, which is a lot more of like the vibe. Also like his lightning that he uses to like reanimate things. I just felt like the purple like kind of fit the vibe of the house, and it also was a good contrast to the orange. Which then brings me to another thing. I've got like these little like dead black shrubberies, I guess, which they also kind of like have on the other sets, like on the official sets. I added like these little tree bits with some fall leaf to give it all that fall vibe. And then I just kind of added some orange, including the pumpkins I was talking about earlier. And then the little pumpkin head, the little jack-o'-lantern head, which, I mean, I feel like for every expansion I make, I'm going to put a ton of these, which will be very fun. There's a door here, and I gave it, like, one little, like, stud with a hole in the center of it for the little handle. And the door does actually open, which is really fun. And then for the outside fence, it's just a lot of, like, those hinge pieces, like the 1x2 hinge pieces going around. And then I used a lot of these, like, I don't know what you call them, but it's like the 1x2 rounded tiles, I guess is the best way to say it. I just put a lot of those on the top to kind of match the official set. And then the last thing is just like ruined. I made some ruined steps, which I feel like kind of fits the vibes. Moving up the tower, as I was saying before, I put a lot of these details of the 1x2 tiles just to kind of give it some depth, which I thought was fun. I also gave it this window, and the inside needed more support. And so that I didn't block the window, I just made the supports like a trans orange. And that way, there's kind of like a glow from behind the window, which I think is really fun. Moving up into the top bit here, there's a lot of like these like, I guess they're like kind of like small pillars or like arches that kind of hold up the top part. And so I did some of these like slopes in order to make that. I also continued that same idea just with bigger pieces up here with these inverted slopes on the very top to make the roof. And then this thing itself is just a lot of these like masonry brick pieces, which I love these pieces. I think it's really fun. And it definitely fits the vibe of the tower in the movie. Then there's this window, which can also actually open, which I'm very proud of this window. I think I was kind of confused on what to do with it. I was thinking of like using like a Millennium Falcon piece, or like the Sanctum Sanctorum had like one of those like giant window pieces things. And so I was thinking about like using one of those for the window. But then I was like, nah, it's such a weird angle, and like it is at such a weird bend that I was like, oh, I could just make the window out of like, you know, these like gray droid arms. So that's what I did, and I think it really gets the point across. So I might not be happy with everything in this model, but I do think the window turned out pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And then just to keep everything extremely consistent with the other sets, like the official sets, I did a dollhouse style, where it is open on the back. The bottom floor, there's a lot of good stuff here. I also did some custom decaled pieces for the Worm's Wort, the Deadly Nightshade, and the Frog's Breath, which are like the classic ones that Sally's using to mix up her little potion. And speaking of which, I have the cauldron, and then I have like the like deadly gas, the poison gas that like rises out from the potion when she's mixing it up. Here I just put like a little skull for fun. Then I've got the little cabinet, like the wonky shaped cabinet that Sally like rummages through when she's trying to find the Worm's Wort. Just a little shelf here on the bottom, and then another like little plant that she is using for her potions. And that's pretty much it for the bottom floor. Then if we move up, we have like the top area, which I knew this is the area where two main things happen, I would say, in the film. One is this is where Sally gets like trapped. She gets like locked up there when Finkelstein is like punishing her for going out. And then the second main thing is that this is like where the lab is, where Igor and Finkelstein like make Joel up there, right? And then they also make the skeleton reindeer. So I put a little bone here on this little operating table. I've got these two like, electricity beams with the little like Emperor Palpatine lightning pieces that kind of like come down and electrify whatever they're trying to reanimate here. It's a little hard to see, but in the back, and it's actually on a hinge, so it can kind of move up and down, and it's got one of these little pieces where you can like clip in minifig legs. This is like the operating table where he like made Joel and where he like fixed up Sally. And then I've got a nice little fun detail here with like the basket and then the bottle, which this is like kind of like the little care package that she gives to Jack when he's struggling with discovering what Christmas is. Yeah, which is a really fun bit. I didn't put any kind of decal in here. I guess I could have. And there's also like a scene where a butterfly comes out, so it'd maybe be fun to put like a little butterfly on top of here. But yeah, so that's something to think about. But I'll see. If you're still here and you're still watching, leave some comments below about like, are there any things that you wish came with this set? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? Everything like that. This is also just going to be the first one in a series of builds for the Nightmare Before Christmas expansions. So like, what are some things that you would be excited to see in the future? I know that I'm planning on making like Oogie Boogie's lair. I want to make like a little entryway where the band is. And like where Sally sings her song and where the black cat walks around. I think that would be really fun. What kind of characters are you excited to see? Because Halloween Town has a ton of characters, so just let me know. But yeah, that's about it for Dr. Finkelstein's lab. And I will see you next time. Stay spooky.